So good evening and good morning. Let us begin with the meditation session with an aspiration that I am awareness. To become this aspiration, to become the awareness that I am. Invoking the Divine's grace and presence as we begin, because the more we try, the more we often discover how it feels almost next to impossible that the lower mind would stop, or that I would stop listening to it. It seems almost impossible that I would not get pulled by the desires, the aversions, the likings, the dislikings, the all that happened to me and all that might happen to me. So between these things, the present is continuously being lost. Just recognizing this and aspiring for some release, some freedom, more grace, so that something in me can stop, can be still, can quieten, so that what needs to happen, what needs to flow, would flow. Starting the session with a few lines from a prayer that was given by Sri Aurobindo for a disciple. The prayer says, Mother, be with me now and always. Envelop me with your presence. Raise and purify me with your touch. Inhabit me with your living image. There's more, but I think this is enough. So we will begin with the basic focus, connection with our breaths. The same exercise we did last time, titled, I don't know, we don't need titles, but it's called Anapana meditation. Ana is the in breath, Pana is the out breath, and I am the guard who now, for the next 25 minutes, would be standing, and not that we'll be doing it for shorter time, but for however long we do it, I will be on my guard, watching the in-breath and the out-breath. So if possible, let's keep our spine and neck straight, be relaxed, and watch the normal pace of our breath. Let's just do it for 5 minutes. So the idea is that we look at the in-breath, we look at the out-breath. We don't have to go in and out with it. Just this area, as we were guided last time, this area below the nostrils, we see the in-breath coming in, and then we see the out-breath going out. And my job, my occupation, my business for the next few minutes is just to be present to this breathing. The thoughts will come, I will get swayed, but the moment I realize I've gotten swayed, I come back, I come back, I come back to this one task, small task, very important task that I have decided now to do for the next few minutes. In the beginning, I can take deeper breaths, maybe to just feel the presence of the breath more. Sometimes we even need to do that. And at times, it helps me if I tilt my neck a little bit slightly in the beginning. I feel the breath more, and it's easier to remember to focus on it. So we can begin. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling the touch of the breath as it enters my nostrils and leave my nostrils. Breathing in, a usual rhythm, no changes, no forces, no manipulations, simply sitting and breathing in and breathing out. The mind will wander off, but I come back as soon as I see it. Focusing on my breath below the nostrils. It could seem boring, and yet it's very important that we stick with it. stillness in the being is stressed upon by almost all masters and mystics. And such practices help us in disconnecting from the chaos that we are always in, the mental chaos, which we might not even be aware. And yet, the seemingly simple may be good for nothing, it might seem practice. That what is the point? Helps us in realizing the chaos that I am in and gives me, if possible, a few moments of relief. And slowly, I want those moments of relief, of silence, of quiet to increase in my life. Just 2 last minutes. Now focusing more diligently on the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of the nose. Thank you. If there are any questions about this small practice, we may unmute and ask. So just sitting and breathing and just looking at the breath, not alternating, not altering with it, just being with it and trying to focus on it and being aware of its incoming and its going, so that at least for some time I'm settled in and with something. Okay, so since it's a meditative, reflective session, I have a video in which the speaker talks about, this constant negative chattering of in our minds, which is present, and how to become aware of it. Because unless we become aware of it, how will we honestly, sincerely aspire to disconnect, to change, to stop? So, sharing the screen now, and we'll watch that. How to Calm the Voice Inside is the title. In case you can't hear it, please let me know.
But what has happened through the gradual evolution of thinking is that now humans tend to overthink. There is a lot of not only unnecessary thinking that generates unnecessary and in many cases non-existent problems, such as when you lie awake at night in bed and start worrying. It generates a lot of unnecessary unhappiness. So people don't realize that a significant part of the unhappiness in their lives is actually generated by unnecessary, negative, often destructive mind activity, and they don't even know it. Mindfulness is, first of all, discovering the simple fact that there is a voice in your head that continuously comments on your life or on what's happening around you. It's that's the self-talk in there. Everybody knows what the self-talk is in that you talk to yourself. Sometimes you talk to yourself in the first person, I. Some people talk to themselves in the second person, you. So you can get annoyed with yourself and then you say, you shouldn't have done that. And then you have another thought that says, yes, but I couldn't help it. And you might even get a third voice come in that, and whatever it says, why can't I get out of my self-talk? That's self-talk too. But it's an amazing first thing, what I call the first awakening, spiritual awakening, is something very basic and something very simple. It's the discovery that there is a voice in your head that always talks to you, mostly silently. If it talks out aloud, then you are continuously, and there's nobody around, then you are considered insane. But, and that's only if it's loud, but most people have that inside their heads and they are not considered insane, it is considered normal. But there's not such a big difference between the two. And sometimes when you listen to, there might be a man walking in the street muttering, oh, like this fucking, and you say, oh, he's really insane. But it might be that you are doing the same, but it's just not out aloud, it's in your head. I should have said that. Why didn't I say that? Next time he does that, I don't exactly know what I'm going to reply. And it goes on and on. Or you lie awake at night and start worrying. You wake up and, oh my God, what's going to happen? What if that doesn't work? And if that goes wrong? And what if he does that? And then you go into it, you get drawn, one thought leads to another thought and another thought. Oh my God. And then the body, the body cannot distinguish between an actual reality, an event that's happening in the real life, and what your mind is saying. So when you have fearful thoughts, the body reacts to every fearful thought, and that's an emotion. The body reacts with an emotion, the emotion you feel in your body. The body cannot distinguish between an actual event and a thought. So when you think fearful thoughts, the emotions you feel are the emotions that are saying, I am in danger. There is an actual danger here. So you feel the emotion of fear, anxiety. You might feel agitated. And it's not only not pleasant, if you indulge in that kind of useless, dysfunctional, destructive thinking year after year after year, it has its effect on the body. And
So, yeah, pausing here because if we listen to something for too long, we lose interest. So, just the fact that there is a constant chatter in my mind, there is a voice that's always talking. And then we say, I'm tired. Then we say, why is the day so long? Why is there so much suffering? So, a lot of suffering, as he just said, that a lot of things are self created. So, a lot of suffering, a lot of distraction, a lot of unnecessary movements are surprisingly and yet very realistically created by me inside of me. And we laugh when we hear that, I am that crazy person. People just don't hear me. But it's not funny, actually. It's very pitiable when we realize that it's very shocking. It's very painful that, can I be this stupid? And the answer is yes. And the good news is that if I have, I don't know, there will be a time when I'll be disgusted enough to fully want to transform that aspect in me. Because what a waste of my time, my energy, my mind space, my emotions, and everything in me suffers because of this constant chatter in my mind. Everything. So there's a little bit more. I'll play that. But if there's anything, any question, any concern, feel free to unmute as we know anytime.
Taru, here about the inner voice.
Mm.
See, actually, it takes some time for us to see that, there is a continuous chatter is going on, because we become one with that. As he rightly said, it affects the body. So today morning it happened to me. Meera was, going out of station. She didn't call me for some time. And, my mind started chattering. Why did she be called? What would have happened to her? It was continuous, after, 10, 15 minutes. And I felt very uneasy. Then I realized, as mother says, step back. Then I just waited for 2 minutes. Then why am I thinking like this? So after that, that voice stopped. So I went into the mother's room and I just stood in front of her. Then I told her, this is not right what I'm doing, but I'm not able to, it took long time for me to understand that, I'm going into the chatter. And that creates some uneasiness in the body. So it's so beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so apt for me.
Yeah, for
And when
everybody.
I stopped, she called,
Oh,
within 5, 10 minutes, within 5 minutes, she called. Actually, she has messaged. I didn't see that.
okay.
Without seeing the message, I was worrying, and it continued for some time. Then, when I became uneasy, I stopped it, and immediately she also called.
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful.
Yeah. But the
Actually,
fact that we can get that there is uneasiness in the body, that itself is so good that now we recognize because we are used to a certain state of peace. So when that peace goes away, we can't take it. And then
yeah.
we have to get rid of it. So increase in that sensitivity is also a very good sign. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for this. Can you please share this
Yeah,
link?
yeah, of course, of course. So I will continue. There's a little
Yeah.
bit more I would want to see. I would want to share, sorry.
And for many people, interestingly enough, that self-talk, for many people, is not always negative, but for many people, it is more negative than positive. A good event that happened yesterday, you might have gone to a nice reunion, or you went out into nature and you witnessed a beautiful sunset. Okay, you can remember it today and think that was a beautiful sunset, or we had a nice talk yesterday. But you can't do that much thinking about a nice event. But the mind, when there's something negative that happens yesterday, somebody offended you or didn't give you the attention that you needed, that you wanted from him, then you can start thinking of how, oh my God, what he did, he's really, next time he does that, I'm going to say that, or he's really should, why doesn't he, you can go on for a long time dwelling on something negative much longer than dwelling on something positive. It is so, seemingly a negative event is much more food for useless mind activity than a positive event. And this is why for many people, a significant percentage of their mind activity is negative. For some people, it is almost 100% negative, but it is unlikely that these people would get a job in this company.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is recognizing that that chatter is there. And the second realization, one doesn't even have to hear this thing. When one is watching, one realizes that how the negative attracts me, grabs me. It's like gives me those, in Hindi we call dhobi patkas, like you hold somebody and you just hit them on the ground hard. That's what happens. So just recognizing, because a lot of times we might feel it's innocent. It's just thoughts, right? What can they do to me? And yet the negativity, it's like we are all in a self-created bubbles of this chatter and chaos and this negativity, and we don't even realize it, because why would I want myself to be in a negative self-created bubble? It doesn't make sense. And yet, if I look, it is a lot of time for most of us, our truth. So just seeing the last part and we'll finish with it.
You can discover first, the spiritual awakening is to discover that there is continuous mind activity. And for some people, it's the discovery that a significant part of their mind activity is negative. But the vital thing is to discover that there is this continuous talk in my head, which is considered the normal human state. And of course, you cannot abolish thinking. Of course, there will be thinking. But the question is there an awareness behind the thinking? If you can become aware that you are indulging or caught up in that useless mind activity, and you suddenly become aware of perhaps certain repetitive thoughts that tend to reoccur in your mind again and again. You might see it in others too, more easily in others. When you go for your Thanksgiving dinner,
Yeah, so I think this is where we'll end this sharing. Just this awareness more concretely. Nothing to laugh, nothing to rejoice. It wasn't funny, and it wasn't not funny. It's just that it is a part of me. Do I see it? Do I want to be over it? And what am I doing to now not get swayed by it or distance from it a little bit? Baby steps. Am I willing to take the first step? And as we know, each and every step needs an effort, needs courage, needs sincerity, honesty, and lots of grace. So, ending this meditation, mindfulness, pause here, aspiring and praying for more awareness, more alertness, more dropping of the veils, so that I can see and become the truth that I am, beyond these chaoses, these suffering, these mind games, the rights and the wrongs. Praying this for ourselves and for everyone, may there be peace, true quietude, and true joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharma.